Okay, should we get started, Cal? Are you ready?
All ready to go here.
Okay. Welcome everyone. Welcome to the iText webinar on PDF Office. The launch of our new addition to the iText PDF library. My name is Karin and I'm here with Cal. Cal is our pre-sales engineer and expert in PDF Office. He'll take you through the PDF Office solution, which we've launched just now. Quite a lot of code in a moment. But before we do that, just a few practical elements. We're recording this webinar. It's available today, today or tomorrow probably. We'll send an email to everyone that signed up to this webinar. You'll receive the link to the recording. We have a Q&A at the end of the webinar, but then you can always send any questions during the webinar via the Q&A box or the chat box, and we'll take them then at the end of the Q&A. If there is not sufficient time, then you will for certain receive an answer in the next few days from our technical people. Feel free also to share on social with the hashtag iText that you're attending this webinar or that you found this webinar useful. So, introducing iText PDF Office with this webinar. Before I hand it over to Cal, who will go through the product, perhaps an introduction into iText software, the company, for people here who may not have, who may not know us very well. We're the leader in PDF technology. Our code has been around for 20 years. We today offer two product lines. One is our SDK, our PDF library, which many developers around the world are using to create and generate PDF documents to comply with PDF-A, for example, for archiving, or PDF UA for universal accessibility, or to really have secure PDF documents, or to enable digital signing, and much more. We also have a high convenience tool, which we call iText Ditto. It's used for fast template-based document generation. Comes with a WYSIWYG template designer. It's a product that has been available now for a year, if I'm not mistaken. So those are our two major product lines. We today have around 125 million users because we're open source, obviously. And we have more than 7,000 clients worldwide. Those rely on the expertise of our PDF developers and experts. They remain up to date and abreast of all changes and evolutions with regards to PDF and the specs by being a board member of the PDF Association or by being part of the ISO committee. In that way, we can give trust to our customers that they're always using the latest, greatest when it comes to PDF technology. Here are a few logos of our customers. So you see we have customers coming from different verticals, governments, financial services, pharma, technology, all using iText technology to create and generate mass PDF. And before I hand it over to Cal, as a true developer company, we're always open to contributions, to pull requests. If you're keen to see what you can do with us or would like to contribute to iText, you can always go to our website. There's a tab Developers and Community. There you can find all the details. At the end of the webinar, when you leave the webinar, a survey will pop up. You can also check there, yes, I would like to join the iText developer community, and I can pass on all necessary details. That's about it from my introduction. Cal, I think everyone is waiting for what you're going to show. I'm going to hand it over from here to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Karin. And while we get this handoff underway, I'm going to start my part of this webinar by just actually saying thank you. So thank you to everyone who is attending this webinar today, whether you're an open source developer or if you are investigating PDF Office for use in your enterprise or commercial organization. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart and the collective heart of iText, thank you so much for coming to this webinar today. And we are really excited to be showing off our latest and greatest innovation in PDF Office. So with that, let's hop into an agenda for what I'll be talking about and talking through during this webinar. So first, I'll talk through why clients are repeatedly choosing PDF documents over Office documents. I'll then go through the different kind of features within PDF Office, which is what everyone's here for, so that'd be exciting. After that, I'll go through 3 real-life inspired use cases, which demonstrate how customers might utilize PDF Office in a very real-world sense. And then finally, I'll have a live demo in my IDE using Java and PDF Office. And at the very end, if you have any kind of questions, we'll have a live Q&A session. So, definitely throw those into the chat whenever they pop up throughout the rest of these slides. So without further ado, let's get started. We're going to open the door to PDF documents from Office documents. And to start that, let's talk through why customers are choosing PDF documents instead of Office documents. And before I start out my next slide, I just want to acknowledge the fact that there are attendees today from Microsoft. While I personally very much so enjoy utilizing Word, PowerPoint, Excel documents in my everyday life for their high convenience, what we've been hearing from a lot of our customers is that when it comes to an enterprise setting and batch processing, on-demand processing for real-world applications, utilizing a more lightweight and versatile standard like the PDF document has been a lot more fortuitous for clients. So to go through point by point of what we've heard and the feedback that we've received from our customers, why would people choose the PDF document standard over Office documents? Well, to start, the PDF is backed by an ISO standard. So that's an independent standard organization that's regulated by a board of many different parties, including some from iText, actually. So we have some kind of say over the future of the PDF, but we can't decide to add in new features that might break our customers' deployments if we so choose. Second, the PDF document, when compared to Office documents, can be archived with optimal file sizes. And this is really important when we're talking to enterprise organizations that might be storing thousands, millions, tens of millions of PDF documents in their servers or Office documents. Because, of course, if you're saving 1 megabyte of data per file, then as you scale up thousands or millions, and it's going to be a real world cost in terms of server space, active memory consumption, as well as operating runtime for any kind of operations within your document workflow. A third point as to why customers might utilize PDF documents over Office documents is that PDF documents render in a standard way across any kind of devices or operating systems. So whether you're accessing them on your phone, tablet, desktop, if you're on Linux, Windows, Mac OS X, none of that is going to matter. The PDF is still going to be legible and have high fidelity as compared to how it was designed. So it's a very versatile document standard in that way. Another reason why you might choose PDF over Office document is that PDF can be encrypted up to a 256-bit level AES encryption. And apart from that, there are a bunch of other really great advanced security measures that ensure that PDF documents protect your data and ensure that no kind of hackers or bad parties could access your important client data. And there are a lot more features, some of which I'll touch on throughout the rest of this webinar. So that was a bit of context. Again, apologies to the Microsoft people in the crowd today. But let's talk through some of the features within PDF Office's suite. So first, and probably the most expected from everyone in the crowd today, is that Microsoft Word to PDF documents are fully supported. So on the left-hand side, I created a Word document, and that Word document had 3 paragraphs from Alice in Wonderland. As you can see in the Word document, I have a subsection title, which is Down the Rabbit Hole, and every subsequent paragraph is left justified. And I would expect that when I utilize PDF Office to convert that into a PDF document, I should get a highly accurate and a very high fidelity output document that resembles the original. Rest assured, with PDF Office, this definitely occurs. So on the right-hand side, we have our output document. This is a PDF, but there are little to no kind of visual malformities between these 2 inputs and outputs. The bold text has been preserved correctly. The font has been preserved correctly. The fact that it's left justified has been also preserved correctly. There's embedded italics within this paragraph, which has also been preserved correctly. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is that when we're going from Word to PDF documents, you can rest assured that with PDF Office, your output is going to have a high accuracy and very closely resemble your input. Moving on, we have support for PowerPoint to PDF. And as mentioned before on our agenda slide, this doesn't just apply to a .pptx file, but it also applies to all Word or PowerPoint standards since 1997, I believe. So for this example, I actually converted this very presentation. It is a PowerPoint presentation. So again, thank you to Microsoft for supporting our slides here. But as you can see, PDF Office was able to correctly and accurately convert not just the textual information on this input slide, but also both images, both of Karine and I's headshots. And the way that PDF Office has converted this PowerPoint is that it's set up and split up every single slide to be on its own unique page with the same kind of sizing, that landscape orientation that you'd expect from a PowerPoint presentation. So again, going left to right here, input to output, there's incredibly high accuracy, and the output represents a high fidelity PDF document. But why I'm so excited about PDF Office, and I think why so many of you in the crowd today are so excited about PDF Office, is not just because we're able to convert Word documents or PowerPoints into PDFs, but it's because when you convert your Office documents into PDFs, you open the door to so many new workflows and so many potential new technologies. So here's a very high-level overview of how a customer might choose to utilize PDF Office. So again, the input in this case is either a PowerPoint presentation or a Word document, and this is a very simple workflow, I'll say. We'll utilize PDF Office and just potentially one line of code to convert that PowerPoint or Word document into a PDF document. Again, that's going to be highly accurate. And then after you convert your Word or PowerPoint document into a PDF, there are so many potential post-process operations that you can then take on. Whether it's redacting sensitive information from your documents, if it's digitally signing and authenticating your documents, if it's adding annotations in a batch process to all of your documents, encrypting, merging, extracting, and so much more, all enabled by the iText core product suite. And taking an even further step back, we can visualize how PDF Office might synergize with our products or other PDF providers' operations, again, in a potential real-world setting. Now, this is a potentially very complicated workflow, so I'm going to go through this part by part. I think the most important thing to remember here, though, is that PDF Office allows the integration of Word and PowerPoint documents, Office documents, into your workflow very easily. So going left to right here, we start with a scanned document, and we're going to use iText's PDF OCR tool, which is free to any kind of commercial customers, and convert that scanned document into a PDF document. We could then redact information from the document. We could extract data from that document. And then, down in steps 3 and 4, we might choose to merge in new documents. Now, let's say that I'm working with Microsoft Word documents or PowerPoint documents. I can utilize iText Core, which will be included if you purchase PDF Office, to merge in converted Word and PowerPoint documents into my PDFs. And then we could basically repeat this entire workflow for that converted or merged PDF document, meaning that the opportunities are really endless for what you can do with PDF documents after they've been converted. So that was a very high-level overview of PDF Office's features and how it might synergize into different kind of document workflow use cases. But to contextualize it a bit further, let's talk through some real-life use cases of how our customers are utilizing PDF Office. Of course, in these examples, all customer names have been fully anonymized and their use cases have also been anonymized. So use case 1, this is within insurance. So let's just say that XYZ insurance organization is looking to migrate their Word documents to PDF. And the reason being is that they want to annotate and archive their PDF documents as part of a batch process. Why would they choose PDF over Office documents for storage? Well, going back to my slide earlier, PDF documents are lightweight, which of course leads to less consumed server space, so less disk space being taken up, less RAM or active memory consumption, and better operating times for any kind of operations or processes that you might take on for your document workflows. Yep, and then let's just say that this insurance organization then wants to programmatically annotate their documents in a batch process. What this will do is converting, our Microsoft Word documents into PDFs will open up, again, the door for potential new workflows. So after they annotate these documents, they could extract more data. They could merge them with other documents. They could bookmark the documents or a number of other things. So going through this at a very high level, this is how this use case might look. This is a very simple kind of workflow here, but we have a docx, let's just say. We utilize PDF Office to convert that into a iText PDF document. And then we'll utilize iText Core to programmatically, as part of a batch process, annotate our PDF documents. Again, utilizing this more kind of lightweight standard. Now, I do want to pause for just a second because we are running a poll, and I want to take a step back to get to know our audience a bit better for this webinar. So we're going to put the poll onto the screen now, but basically we want to know what types of Office documents are you employing within your workflows currently. The options include Word, PowerPoint, Excel, XML spreadsheet. And if there are any kind of other Office documents that you're working with or any other kind of documents that you'd want to see iText support, please go ahead and put them into the chat. And we'll go ahead and revisit this a bit later on in this webinar. But we'll keep this on the screen for just a minute or two here. All right, coming back here, just want to reiterate that we do have a poll going on right now. It's what types of Office documents do you employ within your workflows? And the choices are Word, PowerPoint, Excel, XML spreadsheet. And if you're working with any other kind of document standards, please put them into the chat. And I see that a lot of people have already responded, so thank you very much for responding to date. And we will again revisit the results of this poll a bit later on. All right, so the poll is now closed. Thank you again to everyone who participated there. And let's move on. So as part of use case 2, let's just say that we have ABC Real Estate Company, and they're looking to convert their lease agreements from docx into PDF. And the reason being is that they want to programmatically implement digital signatures into their lease agreement processes. Why use digital signatures and why use iText? Well, when you're dealing with thousands or many different kind of Office documents, having someone who will be manually putting in a digital signature box or filling it or signing it on every single document can definitely be cumbersome. And real estate company ABC also wants to utilize PDF documents because they know that PDF documents will render in a standard way on a variety of different devices as well as operating systems. So a good choice by them. But let's see how this workflow is going to look. So here, again, it looks very similar to the previous one. We have a docx as input. It's one line of code with PDF Office to convert that docx into a PDF. We'll then, as a post process, utilize iText Core to programmatically and digitally sign our documents. This can be implemented on your laptop. Someone could then fill in or sign that digital signature on their phone. So it's completely a platform and very versatile in that sense. So in this case, ABC Real Estate Company was very happy. Use case number 3, let's just say that we have DEF Government Agency, and they have PowerPoint documents on their servers, And these PowerPoint documents contain information and basically decks for new public works programs. They want to convert these PowerPoint presentations that people on their team have created into PDF documents and then encrypt them up to their regulatory standards. And more specifically, they want to ensure that any kind of PowerPoint documents that are converted will be up to FIPS compliance, meaning that any kind of data within those documents is going to be completely secure. Again, this is a very simple workflow with PDF Office, which I think is a real kind of testament to its strength within this marketplace. So on the left-hand side, we have our input. It's a PowerPoint document, as mentioned. We utilize PDF Office to convert that PowerPoint document into a high fidelity and very accurate PDF. We'll then utilize iText Core as a post-processing step to encrypt that converted PDF document. And then this government agency can feel very secure about then storing those back on their servers and ensuring that they are staying up to date with FIPS compliance. So I'm going to go ahead and hop into a demo now. So I'll go ahead and unshare my screen for a second, and I will reshare my screen on my IDE. All right, so in this live demo, I'm going to be utilizing IntelliJ, and therefore I'll be using Java. And let's go ahead and start out with an annotation example. So in this case, as my input, I'm going to be using the same Alice in Wonderland doc that I mentioned in my slides. So here, yet again, just to remind you, we have Down the Rabbit Hole. We have the first 3 paragraphs of Alice in Wonderland. This text is again left justified. There are italics nested within this paragraph. We have bolding going on, different font sizes, and Times New Roman as the font of choice. What I want to do in this use case is I want to, 1, convert that docx into a PDF, and then afterwards, utilizing iText Core, I want to programmatically add an annotation marking my favorite part of that section of Alice in Wonderland. So I'm going to go line by line here and just describe and explain, each kind of process within this workflow at the ground level, at the code level. So with any kind of commercial or developer operation with iText and our add-on products, we will need to be loading in a license file. So in this case, it's just 1 line of code, very easy to utilize. So I call the load license file function, and I bring in my XML file, which contains all of my credentials that I'll need to correctly compile PDF Office. I'll then instantiate a byte array output stream, and that output stream is going to be the output. So that's going to be the converted PDF document from this docx. On line 23 here, I instantiate and bring in the Office Converter class, which is kind of the meat and potatoes of PDF Office as a product. And I'll utilize the convert Office document to PDF function, which will convert docx into a PDF or output stream output. And again, this is PDF Office, but it's just 1 line of code, so incredibly easy to implement. And my output will be this variable that I instantiated earlier, which is this byte array output stream. So after line 23, this process is already going to be complete. We're going to have an output PDF document. So next up, I'm going to reroute that byte array output stream that I was working with into a byte array input stream so I can directly incorporate it into my next post-process workflow without utilizing multiple classes in order to reduce redundancy within code. So I'll utilize the PDF document class, which is, I think, one of the most mainstay and important classes within iText Core's code. And I'll use the PDF annotation class in order to add an annotation to my document. Very kind of simple. And on these 3 lines, I will set, the different kind of descriptors and content of the annotation. So I'll make it green. I'll make the content say, I love this part. I'll set it a title. I could, give it other kind of attributes, but in this case, that's all I'm going to apply. I'll then add the annotation to the first page of my PDF document. And then afterwards, I'll close my byte array output stream in my PDF document, thus signaling the end of this process. So running this code, we get the output annotated document. Let's take a look, open this up and see how this looks. Okay, perfect. So we have Down the Rabbit Hole. This is within Adobe Acrobat Pro. So this is a PDF document verified. And let's just say that my favorite part of this document was the word rabbit hole. So I have added an example annotation saying, I love this part. It is correctly green. It has the title that I expected, which was example annotation. And, you know, speaking to PDF Office's efficacy here, again, bold text has been preserved correctly. We still have that Times New Roman, which is great. We have embedded italics, left justified paragraphs, and all of our characters have rendered correctly. So this signals an excellent win for PDF Office, and you know, just a simple example to how you could utilize this within different workflows. And I have one more example here, and this one's a bit more complicated, but in this case, I'm going to be converting a PowerPoint document, which is actually the very PowerPoint slides that I showed you today for this presentation. And I want to encrypt that PowerPoint document when I convert it. So I'm going to use 256-bit level AES encryption. And I'm also going to merge that converted PowerPoint document with another PDF document. And the merged PDF document that I'll utilize is actually that output annotated document. So that's the Alice in Wonderland with the annotation that I just showed you a minute ago. So going through this line by line, I'm going to instantiate an owner and a user password. And these will allow me access into the encrypted PDF document. If I don't have access to these passwords, then I won't be able to access any of its contents. As before, I'll be loading in my license file. In this case, it's again just a developer license, and it's an XML file which contains all of my credentials. In the same exact way, I'm going to instantiate a byte array output stream, and I'll use the Office Converter class yet again. But this time, I'll use the Convert Office Presentation to PDF function in order to convert my PowerPoint presentation into a PDF document. After that's done, which again, one line of code for PDF Office, so very easy to implement, I'll reroute my byte array output stream into a byte array input stream so I can then utilize it for my encryption and merge use cases immediately. So here, I will ingest the output annotated document that we came up with earlier. So again, this was the Alice in Wonderland document with the annotation on it. And I'll merge it with the output byte array output stream from this Convert Office Presentation to PDF function. And when I set up my encryption for this merged document, it's very easy to utilize with iText. We'll just use the writer properties parameter within the PDF writer class, and we'll set standard encryption. We'll include a user and an owner password, and we'll set different kind of encryption constants. So basically, we'll determine what the user can and can't do. And we'll also implement, again, 256-bit level AES encryption. After that, we'll use the PDF merger class to merge the converted PowerPoint presentation with our output Alice in Wonderland PDF document. After that, we close all of our streams and resources that we've been utilizing to date, and that will mark the end of this process. So let's see how this output looks. All right. So opening this up here, I just put in my password, which was world. First, we have our Alice in Wonderland docx document. So this was the document that we converted into a PDF earlier. The annotation is still intact, which is great. Then we have the slides for this very presentation converted into a PDF document, which again is one slide per document. The back end of this PDF document is completely encrypted, ensuring that any kind of data within this PowerPoint is totally secure. And again, our clients, in this case, if they existed, would be rest assured that they're utilizing a lightweight document standard that's going to be very versatile in how it renders on a variety of different devices and operating systems. So that marks the end of this demo. I now want to open up the floor to any kind of questions coming from the chat.
Yeah, hi Kyle. I'm back. I didn't know you were such an Alice in Wonderland fan, by the way.
You know, it's I didn't know either, to be honest.
I didn't know either. Okay, yeah, some questions have come in. First one, if I start a free trial and I run into issues, if I start a free trial of PDF Office and I run into issues, who can I revert to? Yeah,
definitely. So I can actually put this link into the chat here. But if at any point you run into any kind of issues when utilizing PDF Office in a trial setting, you can reach out to iText via this link. So I'm not sure if that's gone to the chat correctly, but maybe
let me double check. And otherwise, we can add it to the post event email for sure.
Yeah, so we have a chat bot on our website. We have a form to fill out on our website as well. And we have a number of different kind of possibilities for reaching out. So any way that works best for you, we want to work with you as best as we can.
Actually, more questions are even coming in. So everyone, if you have any questions, feel free to put them here in the questions tab. We'll answer now a few of them. We'll see regarding timing, whether we can cover them all or not. And if not, we'll for sure get back to you with an answer in the next few days. Cal will personally. Second question, I mean, what about generating Office style visual differences between two documents? This comes from Mike. So what about generating Office style visual differences between two documents?
Yeah, so I am not sure if I'm interpreting this one correctly, but if there are any kind of visual abnormalities that you encounter when utilizing PDF Office, then that would be a scenario where you'd want to reach out to our team. We want to ensure that when you're utilizing PDF Office, you have as much accuracy as possible as you go from Word and PowerPoint to PDF. But from our experience and our testing and the feedback we've gotten from customers so far, the conversions have been incredibly accurate, which is great.
Okay, great. Oh, we see even more questions coming in. Need to pull up the tab. Dieter is asking, what's with, for example, tab separated data? This with different anchor points so that all the data is aligned. So what, for example, tab separated data, this with different anchor points so that all the data is aligned. How does it work?
So again, I think I'm going to interpret this a certain way. If I don't interpret it correctly, definitely feel free to reach out. We can have a more in-depth conversation about this. But if you're talking about having kind of structured data within your Microsoft Word documents or PowerPoints, tables or anything like that, that's all also fully supported by PDF Office. So any kind of line art can be converted directly into a PDF document.
Okay. Another question from Mike. Will you be adding Excel support in the near future?
Thanks for the question, Mike. So we are looking into this for the future. It is still in its ideation phase, so it's a very early stage. I personally am definitely hoping to have Excel support in the future, and I think that eventually it's something that our organization is working to. But thank you for the question, Mike.
Yeah. And then several people, Christian, Michael, and so on, are asking regarding C#.NET. Anything planned for that?
Yeah, so in its first iteration, PDF Office is just for Java. We do recognize that a lot of our customers, both in the open source community and in a commercial setting, want to use C# and .NET. So it's something that we're gathering. Again, it's in its ideation phase for the future.
Great. More questions, Cal, are you ready?
Sure.
A few questions from Neil. One of his questions is there a limit on file import size?
No, it will totally be dependent on how much power your instance has that's running PDF Office. If you're working with documents that are 20 gigabytes, then we can hop on a call and talk through that use case in a bit more depth and talk through some ways that you could use our products to fix that, bring the file size down a little bit, and convert your documents with that high accuracy still.
Probably you can combine it with PDF optimizers to even shrink further the file size, right?
Exactly.
Neil is also asking, can your Office to PDF process run completely unattended? I think that's someone who wants to multitask.
Yes, so setting up an autonomous task will be on the developer to configure because with iText, all of our products and SDK-based products all go into the back end of any kind of application. So you could definitely set up a process that's automated that utilizes PDF Office. That kind of legwork would be on your end. But if you have any problems with that workflow at any point, you can always reach out to us. We can help out. So.
Indeed. Yohai, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Does the PowerPoint to PDF conversion will set the correct reading order in accessibility perspective. So does a PDF to PowerPoint to PDF conversion set the correct reading order? So in light of accessibility.
Yeah, that's a really great question. So, I mean, ensuring that our customers, can get the 508 ADA compliance that they're looking for is very important to us. In this first iteration of PDF Office, this isn't yet supported, but I do know that this is something that the development team is actively looking into. So I hope for that in the near future.
Okay. Roadmap. Dries is asking, is export to text extraction possible with the new PDF Office add-on to the library?
Yeah, so with PDF Office, the direct conversion to text files isn't currently supported, but you could utilize iText Core or PDF to Data, both of our data extraction products, in order to, with that converted document, extract all that text data.
Okay. So Dries, hopefully that answers your question. Another question. Mike came back regarding the differences. I mean, the Office different function when you different function when you compare documents. So let me go back to his initial question. What about generating Office style visual differences between the two documents?
Yeah, so in my testing, I haven't seen this come up just yet. That's something we could follow up on and then potentially get back to you on.
Okay, so Mike will get back to you on that.
Yeah.
What about converting Word from field to PDF form, from form fields to PDF form fields in PDF UA format? Another question from Yohai.
Right, great question. Again, PDF UA format is I think, in its ideation phase and potentially in the roadmap for the near future, as mentioned before. Converting Word form fields to PDFs is not currently supported, but again, this is why we're having this webinar. I'm very happy to hear this feedback. We can add that, potentially to our roadmap or to our ideation portal for future releases. So thank you.
Yeah, that's indeed one of the purposes also of these webinars and engagement moments with users. Ian has a question. Can annotations be configured to highlight text in documents?
Yes, definitely. With iText and our annotation suite, if it's, I guess, any kind of annotation that's supported by PDF document, iText can, is more than capable of supporting as well, fully programmatically.
Okay. Stefano is asking, I think, also a relevant question. Is it necessary to install the native Office application to do the conversion?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I guess my follow-up question there would be, does he mean, installing Word or PowerPoint in order to make the conversion happen? Because if that's the case, then PDF Office can run completely without any Microsoft applications on your computer. If you have a PowerPoint file though, and you don't have PowerPoint to actually open it, then PDF Office could convert that into a PDF, no problem.
Okay, good to know. Philip is asking, do you convert Google Workspace doc files? DocX files. Google Workspace DocX files.
Yeah, so if it's a native docx and it conforms to those document standards, then we will be able to convert it. But that could be a kind of specific case example where we could potentially hop onto a call or start an email chain to go through that in a bit more depth.
Yeah. So don't hesitate to reach out to us directly if you want to have further information or want to help get our support on something. We do have questions. I'm gonna see how we're doing in time. You still have a few minutes, Kyle?
Yes, definitely. I also want to make sure that we get to the poll results. We have a.
Otherwise, let's do it first. Otherwise, we'll get remarks that we shared way too late.
Yeah, well, hey, Word documents were a resounding majority there, as you can see. So that's very good for us to know. I see a great need for Excel conversion. So that's something that we can take back to our product and development teams for potentially future releases. I see some interest for PowerPoint and some interest for XML spreadsheet. So I guess I just want to say thank you guys so much for your participation in that poll. Again, this is incredibly useful data for us to bring back to our organization in order to continue to innovate and improve PDF Office. So thank you again.
Yeah, indeed. And happy to see also so many people of you responded to it. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, let's get back to the rest of the questions. Where were we? Stewart is asking, does the API allow us to see what we lose on conversion to PDF? For example, animations or scripts, especially in Excel. So are the users able to see what is going lost when converting? Cal?
No, not at this time. So it just takes, you know, your Office document and converts that into a PDF document. So all the content will be visually, you know, duplicated or incredibly similar to that source document. But in terms of that kind of advanced logging, that's also really good feedback for us to hear potentially for the future.
Yeah, quite a lot of things there which we can put on the requirements list.
Yeah, we'll have a lot of work for the product manager here.
So Mike expanded again on his question regarding the differences between the two documents, blacklining or redlining. Does the perhaps I think perhaps we need to reach out to Mike to be certain.
Yeah,
what
I was going to say the exact same thing. Potentially, this is a longer conversation, but it's I'm excited to have. So
yeah, I'm happy to see also the interaction between the attendees and you, Cal.
Yeah, it's much appreciated. You know, it's really great when attendees are so active as everyone here has been. So thank you guys again.
Yeah, indeed, and pleased that you're all still staying on so long. If you still have a few moments, we're still covering a few questions. Eric is asking, for which other languages than Java is PDF Office available? Oh, C# we actually answered that already. So it's only Java at the moment, right?
Yep.
So C# we're adding that to the requirements list.
Right.
Marco
Interesting.
is asking, can I use a template and fill it with data from SQL?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if it's a Microsoft Word template, then iText doesn't have the capability to fill a Word document. We just take those Word documents and convert them to PDFs. If you are looking for a solution though, where you want to visually create templates and then integrate SQL or JSON into those templates, we do have a product called Ditto, which I can plug here, which is a very kind of high convenience tool for just that, synchronizing your data and visually defined templates into awesome PDF documents.
Yeah, indeed. We have more information on iText Ditto also on our website, so feel free to go and browse and check that out. I see someone, oh, this is jumping around. Someone else is asking, Eric, regarding the Office installation, that we covered that already. John is asking, can you speak briefly about what is happening in the Convert Office methods?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, in the Convert Office methods, we are basically, well, it's very highly abstracted in the iText libraries, but we have been partnering with various development teams in order to come up with ways where we can cast Office document objects into PDF objects and have those have a very high fidelity. So in the back end, there's a very direct process that's occurring that's basically converting each Microsoft Word object into a PDF object.
Okay. Perhaps we should do an FAQ on that on our knowledge base.
Right.
Mike came back. I think we still haven't answered his question, but it's a clear question now. Does iText have plans to add support for blacklining to documents to show any changes or differences? So does iText have plans to add support for blacklining to documents to show any changes or differences?
Yeah, so within iText, we are constrained by the PDF standard. So there are ways to implement versioning within PDF documents, but they do require some kind of workarounds. So things like certificates, which ensure that, or basically track whenever someone edits a document after it's been generated. Customers often use annotations to do just that, to just mark any changes that have been made and give them a timestamp. We could, again, I think this represents a kind of more deeper dive. But again, I really appreciate your questions throughout here, Mike.
Yeah. I see someone is asking regarding the link to the recording. Yes, we will send that in an email, which I think will be sent on Monday or Tuesday. So yeah, you'll receive the link to the webinar. You can also, from perhaps tomorrow on already, I need to check with the team, it will be available on our YouTube channel. A few more questions. What are we doing in timing? I think we're still okay, Carl. You still have a few moments?
I still have time. I still have time.
Okay. So Yohai is asking also, does it support Office Online application?
Yeah, so for here, it's just the output documents. So if you're using, Office Online or in a SharePoint environment, anything like that, if you can export that as a stream or as a file into a DocX, PowerPoint X, or just PowerPoint, or any standard again from 20 years ago, PDF Office will be able to handle that, ingest it, and convert it.
And I think with that, you answered another question from Dries. Are old Word versions before 1997 supported?
So I'll have to check that specifically. But again, we are supporting many versions since 97. So quite a lot of
since 97. Okay, we'll get back to that after the webinar then. A few more questions. Do you support Outlook messages convert into PDF? So
yeah, so this is one that's come up a few times here and there. So when Outlook messages are outputted, they can often be outputted as HTML and CSS. We can then utilize iText's add-on called PDF HTML to do just that conversion process. Take the HTML and CSS representing your Outlook messages and convert those again into highly accurate PDF documents. If you want more on that, we also have information on our website. We can also reach out to us. We can have more of a kind of in-depth conversation.
Yeah, and then perhaps a last question, and then I think we've covered all of them. Is PDF output possible? Ralph is asking that.
Yes, PDF output will be standard across all of PDF Office's features.
Okay, actually I see, I think that is the last question. I do hope I haven't missed any. But if you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to us, marketing@itexpdf.com, or via the contact us form on the website. We'll make sure that Cal personally sees your question and that he formulates a response. He's our guru when it comes to PDF Office. So yeah, I think we can wrap it up here, Cal.
Just want to say thank you again to everyone. Again, whether you're an open source developer or commercial user, we really appreciate you using our products, and all this feedback is incredibly useful for the growth of our organization. So, bottom of my heart, thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if any one of you wants to contribute to the iText code, feel free to go to GitHub or the developer communities, or contact us. We always appreciate any pull requests or contributions. Perhaps you will be in personal touch then with Cal if you find any bugs or want to contribute. Then yeah, we'll wrap up here. Thank you again, everyone, for joining. So in the next few days, we'll receive an email with a link for the people who we promised to get back to with additional information. We will do that so in the next few days. And I think the next webinar will be planned for the last week of August, still determining the topic. But yeah, watch our website or sign up for our newsletter, and we'll make sure that you receive an invitation to our next webinar. Thank you all very much, and have a good rest of the day.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Thanks.